Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wednesdays in Bed with Keith. Y'all may be wondering why I'm talking like this, and we'll get to that in just a little while. But first, thank y'all for being in bed with me. So, anyway, I was doing a little bit of thinking this week about language. And, we are like literally, I think, one of the only countries that really just focuses on one language. Like, we speak English and everyone should speak English, and that's just the way we sort of think. And, in school we learn French, we learn Spanish, but we don't really immerse ourselves. Like I think, you're lucky if you learn one language, let alone learn a second or a third or a fourth. And, in my travels to Europe, I've always noticed that, Europeans speak multiple languages. Like, you could go into a store and they will be talking to this table in English and that table in German and that table in Dutch and that table in French. And it's just so cool that they are like so well versed in this. So I wondered, like, why? Why aren't we more like that? And I'm not really sure why. I mean, I'm just not sure. I mean, growing up, it was like English is English, and that's what you had to learn. And that was the be all and end all. And that's sort of changing, which I think may be kind of a good thing. But once I was in Florida, and I was trying to buy a turkey. We were staying with my brother Randy and Maria and Christopher. And, I just wanted to make a turkey. So I went into this grocery store, and the next thing you know, I'm trying to find a turkey. And I'm asking people where the turkeys are. And of course, like, being in the area that they were in, no one working there spoke English. So it really got to be kind of a struggle. And I was trying to like flap my wings and waddle like this. And don't look at that. Plastic surgery soon. I wasn't going anywhere until someone finally came over and they sort of understood what I was trying to say. And we got it done. And I was a little like curious, like, was it me or was it them? But I sort of realized like I was a little bit angry with myself for not knowing how to speak Spanish, and especially when Spanish is becoming, more prevalent in the country. So I decided that when you're in our country, I'm sorry, when you're in another country, it's really such a good idea to like sort of learn phrases so that you sort of like, sort of get into the culture a little bit. And I think they really appreciate it. I'm sure, I have bastardized a lot of, languages whenever I've traveled, but at least I'm pretty sure I know how to ask like where the toilet is in at least four languages. Like I'm good to go. Like if there's ever a, situation, I can, get to it. But I was thinking that when you're in this country, you probably just have to immerse yourself in a little bit of maybe bullshit. And I say that because my greatest immersion of all was learning to speak Southern. And I didn't know much about speaking Southern, nor do I know if there is an actual Southern language, although I think there is. And I think a lot of people speak it. But I only had like two examples. The first was this woman, Shirley, who was a client at Progressions, and she was from Atlanta. And the longer she lived up north, the stronger her accent got. And, it was just like, my goodness, and I this and I that. And then there was, of course, the greatest of all, Blanche Devereaux on The Golden Girls, and that was really all I knew about, speaking Southern. So on our way to Charleston, we passed by this road called Wapu Road. And, I got a little bit silly and I was in the back seat and all of a sudden I just blurted out, Wapu in the road when you can poo in a toilet. And all of a sudden, literally, like I had found my Southern voice. I became so Southern, it wasn't even funny. I actually, when we were at like Magnolia Plantation, I started speaking with this crazy little Southern accent. And there's this gorgeous bridge. It's called Long Bridge at Magnolia Plantation. And the Drayton family had it built. And, it's the scene of multiple like, weddings and events. And, people have their picture taken and it's photographed and everything. And there was a group of people standing near us. And I just started in. And Rob just wants to die. Like Rob, he doesn't even know what to do with me. Like he just doesn't know he disowns me. He's sort of like, I don't know that guy. I'm out. Sorry. No, I have no clue. And I just started talking and I was like, when my mama and daddy got married, they was friends of the Drayton family, and the Draytons let them use this bridge for the wedding photos. And my daddy went up there, and my daddy proposed to my mama on that bridge, and they got married on that bridge. And I just went into this whole thing, and all of a sudden, like, this group of like tourists next to me were like listening, right? And this one woman turns to me and she's like, "Oh, that must have been so beautiful." And I was like, "Sure was." I said, "Ain't nothing so more beautiful than that bridge right over there." And I started cracking up, and Rob is just like, like 2 miles away. He doesn't want to know anything about this. But as a result of that, I started with sayings, my daddy sayings. And I would say, "My daddy told me it was better be a pitchfork than a hoe." That's what my daddy always said. Or my daddy always said, "If the wind carries a tune, y'all better listen. But if it carries a bird, y'all better duck your heads, because the shits are gonna be flying." And I just kept doing this like the whole time we were on vacation. And it didn't matter. I said it on the street, I said it everywhere. And people were just like, "Look at him." And it was just really, really like, super fun. But I was just like having such a ball. And I think after we got back on vacation, I spoke Southern for quite a while. But the best one of all was we were trying to get a dinner reservation, which we could not get. And we were going to have to wait, like, or come, like, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the only time they had. So we were walking by this restaurant, Poogan's Porch. And I said to Rob, "You know what? I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to see, if I can get the reservation." And he's like, "Okay." And I said, "I might pull this Southern thing." And he's like, "Please don't. Whatever you do, do not do that. Okay? Do not do that." So he was waiting outside because he didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I walk in and there's this young woman behind the desk. And of course, they have to know that I'm like faking. Like, I don't even know how you can't read through this. And I went in and I went, "Hello, little lady." And she looked up and she was like, "Hello." And I was like, "My friends and I have been just dying to go to this restaurant. We just hear the best things about it." I said, "But we are so sad. Our hearts are so broken because we just can't get a reservation. And we are leaving on Friday. And we really want to have dinner here on Thursday night." And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I said, "I know." I said, "There's nothing y'all can do, right?" And she looks at me and she goes, "Well," she says, "do you mind eating early?" So I was like, "What do y'all mean by early?" And she said, 7 o'clock. And I said, 7 o'clock? That'd be just fine. I said, "And I tell you something else." I said, "If I didn't think I would get in trouble, I would climb across this table and I would just give you a big old kiss." And she was like, "Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much." And I go outside and I was like this, "We're in." And he was like, "You're kidding." And I was like, "No." I said, "So you mocked my Southernness." I said, "But it was my Southernness that got in." So I guess what I'm saying is, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. When in the South, speak as the Southerners do. And whenever you're anywhere, just make the attempt.